How's it going, guys? I'm Justin, this is Jody, and we are Board Game Perspective. And today what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the third part of the West Kingdom trilogy, Viscounts of the West Kingdom. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to be looking at here.
Yeah, so you got these cool Viscount meeple things here, and you're going to be playing as Viscounts who are loyal to the king, and you're trying to gain the favor of the people because the people have lost their faith in the king's ability to lead. So to do this, you're going to be constructing buildings, working on the castle in the middle here, writing manuscripts, and a bunch of other fun things.
So, what we're going to do, let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got here on the table, and then we're going to come back and give you guys our thoughts on this game.
So we're going to do a overview of the game, so it's not going to be a detailed how to play. So to set up, you just got the board out here. It's a modular, so you're going to be putting different sides depending on the player count. You got resources, cards, and manuscripts all set up, and the castle in the middle, which is awesome. I love the castle. Then each player is going to grab all of their components and place them on the corresponding spots here. And they each take the cards of their color, so this is a red banner here, so that's the red player, starting player marker. And then each player is also going to be grabbing a set of this starting card and a hero card. So each person is going to do that, and I've got this set up for a 2-player game. So let's just say this player is going to pick this. So what's going to happen is this hero card is going to get put into their deck and shuffled in the deck here. And then they're also going to receive all of these things on the card. And this number at the top is where their Viscount is going to start. So they're going to grab their Viscount and start it on number 10, which is, where's 10? Right there. So that's where you're going to put the Viscount. I dropped my card. 1 second. Okay. And then they're going to grab all these resources and the coins, also a deed and 2 debt cards, and they're going to move their corruption marker 2 places on their board. And you're also going to have the debt cards and the deed cards here, and you got the prosperity card in between. You got a certain number of deed cards you put on top depending on the player count, and same thing with the debt cards here. And when the game is over, whenever either the prosperity card is revealed or the poverty card is revealed. So brief overview of the player board. You're going to be placing your cards face up in these spots here, and this is the drop-off zone. And then you've got this track here where the corruption marker is going to move and your virtue marker, and whenever they hit each other, that's going to be a collision, which you will resolve later on your turn. And you got all these different buildings up here that you can construct, and this right here is important because this is your guide every turn to kind of, it's pretty much an overview of your turn. So first is going to be card management, and then with the Viscount there, that's the movement that you'll do. And then the third thing you're going to do is going to be a primary action, and then you're going to recruit, resolve any collision, which is dealing with those markers, and then lastly, draw cards. So let's go over the first part of your turn, which is card management. So everyone has their draw pile here, and each player is going to have 3 cards in their hand. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick one of these cards to play in this first spot here. So let's just say I'm going to play this card here. Now, if there had been other cards out here previously, so say before I place that, there happen to be these cards here. So before you can place this card, you would have to move these down, just like this, and then you would place that card. Now say it's a future turn, and I have all these cards out there, and I was going to play this card. Then I would still scoot all of these over, so this one would go down off the board in the drop-off zone. I would scoot all of these over like this, and then place that one there. So there's 3 types of cards you want to be aware of, or not 3 types of cards, but 3 effects that the cards might have. You got these lightning bolts, these ongoing symbols here, and this little X here. So lightning bolts are always going to be, you resolve it whenever the card has been placed. So say I had placed that card, then I would take this ability here. If there is an X, that is a drop-off effect. So whenever it gets dropped off over here, then you would resolve that ability. Now, if you have this symbol here, that's an ongoing effect for this card while it's out here. Once it drops off, it no longer has an effect. Now, if you happen to play a card that has this wild symbol, then you would have to also move your corruption marker over one, and then of course scoot everything down, and this would get placed just like that. Now it's important to note that the criminals are a wild, so this could be either one of these symbols up here. Second part of your turn is movement. Now the card that you just played will determine how many spaces you can move. So the card I just played has this 3 symbol up there in the top, so I can move my Viscount 3 spots on the board. So I could move, 1, 2, 3, or different patterns. Now, if you wanted to move an additional spot, you can pay 1 silver per additional movement. Now, it's important to note there are arrows on these boards here, and you have to follow the arrows when you move. So you can't go in the direction against the arrow. So this has an arrow moving this direction, so I can move here. But now this place has an arrow going here or here, and I could take either path that I had wanted. Now the third phase of your turn, you will take 1 of 4 possible actions listed here on your player board. Now when you take this action, you will be using combinations of icons on your board that are on your card, and possibly icons revealed underneath certain buildings. And then you will also possibly spend resources to gain icons, and you can also gain icons by dismissing townsfolk cards. So for example, if this player wanted to dismiss this townsfolk card out here on the main board, they would temporarily get access to these icons listed here. Now the cost to do this, you have to pay 2 silver in order to dismiss this townsfolk card. So you would get these icons for your turn, and then this would be discarded. So the first action you can possibly take is trading, which is that blue money bag symbol there. So you're going to add up all of the icons you have on your player board. So for this instance, we have 2 trade icons on our cards. And if you wanted to, you could spend 1 silver to get an additional icon. So 1 silver per additional trade icon. And of course, you can dismiss a townsfolk if you want, but we're not going to. Let's just say this player has 2 icons. So now what you can do is go to the board and figure out where you might want to go to trade in your 2 icons. So I had landed my Viscount here after moving them, and I have 2 trade icons that I can spend. So this right here just means I can get 1 silver per trade icon. So I had 2 icons, so I can grab 2 silver from the supply and add it to my play area. Here are a few other examples that are also out on the board of things you can do. We just went over this example here. You can also trade in the trade icons to get resources, destroy cards, flip over debts and deeds. Now it's important to note that trading can only be done on the outside of the main board. And this also goes for constructing buildings. Constructing buildings can only be done on the outside. Now if you're placing workers, that is done through the inside track, as well as transcribing manuscripts also being the inside track only. Next action you can take is constructing a building, which is the hammer icon. Now to do this, you need a certain amount of icons depending on which building you want to build. So if I wanted to build one of these, this would cost me 5 of those icons, and I could choose one of these buildings to place out on the main board. Now under each of these buildings are different effects or benefits that will be with you the rest of the game. So for instance, if I built this one, I would have 2 trade icons every turn for the rest of the game. So once you got the building that you're going to construct, then you're going to place it in a spot that is next to your Viscount. So if I was here, I would have to build the building on one of these locations here, and you would gain the benefits listed underneath the building that was placed. All right, next section is placing a worker by this yellow or gold symbol there. And this is a key up here that's useful. So you can place workers depending on how many of those icons you have. So if you have one of that icon, then you place one worker. If you have 3 of those icons, you place 2 workers, and so on. So you'll be placing workers only on the inside track, like I mentioned before, and you'll be placing on the tier that is right next to your Viscount. So I'm there, so if I was placing 2 workers, I would place them right there on this spot, first tier there. So whenever your workers move up into the 2nd or 3rd tier, you will gain the benefits listed whenever they get there. So what happens is whenever at the end of you placing your workers, if you have 3 or more of your color of worker, then you will put 1 to one side, 1 to the other side, and 1 will go up to the top, and you'll gain the benefit listed there. And moving your worker over might have triggered other scenarios where you might have 3 or more workers. So say I had those 2 out there and I had just moved this one over, then that triggers it yet again. So I would move it over, over, and up. After you resolve 3 or more of your workers on spots, then you're going to look everywhere and see if there's more than 3 workers on the 1st or 2nd tiers of any color. So this instance right here would need to be fixed. So there can only ever be 3 workers max on the 1st and 2nd tier. So for this scenario, someone's going to have to be bumped off. And you can bump off yourself or someone else. And whenever someone gets bumped off, there are benefits listed here that the player being bumped off would get. The last action you can take is transcribing manuscripts, which is done on the inside track. And that deals with all of these here. So in order to take one of these, you have to have this number of this icon. So I have to have 3 of those icons. And then you can take this manuscript and possibly resolve any effects listed. So this has a lightning bolt, so I would instantly gain 4 silver. Now this goes to your play area because you might also have bonus points depending on how many manuscripts of different colors and sets you have. So now moving on to phase 4 of your turn, that is recruiting. This is where you have the possibility to recruit one of these townsfolk cards where your Viscount is by paying the cost of the card in silver, so this would cost 2. And if you did buy this, then you would put this in your discard pile. 5th phase of your turn is collision. So this will happen if both of your corruption and virtue marker have collided. Then you're going to resolve the effects on the top for you, and then the effects on the bottom for everyone else. And once that's all resolved, then these markers get reset. And the last phase of your turn is drawing cards from your draw pile back up to your hand limit. So players are just going to keep taking turns back and forth until the end of the game is triggered. And like I mentioned earlier, it is triggered when one of these main cards, the prosperity or poverty cards, have been revealed. So everyone's going to tally up their points, and whoever has the most points is going to be the winner. And there's a lot of different ways you can score points in this game. So one way is constructing buildings. You will get points depending on how many buildings of each type you would have built. Workers in the castle, 1 point for the 1st tier, 2 points for 2nd, and 3 for the 3rd tier. And then all your manuscripts, there's different ways you can get points to the manuscripts. There's bonus cards up here that deal with the castle and the manuscripts, and you got your debts and deeds. So this debt card here would be minus 2 points at the end of the game. This would be 3 points that you would get. So there's debts and deeds you got to deal with. And then lastly are the prosperity and poverty cards. So the prosperity card was revealed, and what this one is whoever has the most flipped over debt cards, so paid debt cards, will get 12 points. 3rd place will get 8, and so on. Alright, so there you have it. That is Viscounts of the West Kingdom. So, let's kind of dig into what we think about this game. So this is the third in the well, it's a trilogy, so it's the last one. And let me just say, I love this game. There are a lot of different mechanics in this game that I feel like they just tie together so well. It's so much fun getting your Viscount, which is with awesome people, by the way. Got your cool horse and stuff. Traveling around the board, different locations, taking different actions. My personal favorite is the castle. I just love the castle. I love getting my workers up there. And I love when you put, 3 of your more workers, they move to the side and up. I have so much fun with the castle. I think each time I play, I like obsess over the castle, and I always win the castle part. Yeah. So what are your thoughts? What's your take on this game?
Well, if you guys have seen us very much, you'll know that the complexity of games is I prefer something that's a little less going on than what's going on in this game. However, with that said, this was an enjoyable game. I still had fun playing it, and I've now played 2 of the 3 in the West Kingdom series. I played Architects, which is the first one, and Viscounts, which is the third one. I haven't played Paladins there in the middle. As of right now, Viscounts has the edge over Architects. So we'll see once we play Paladins if we make any different decisions on that. But I did enjoy it. It's still just not really in my wheelhouse, but I had fun playing it though.
I mean, compared to some other heavier games, you would probably pick this compared to some other ones.
Probably, yeah. I would say so, and it took me a few turns to really get the hang of what I was doing, but once I did, I kind of got into it a little bit more, and I felt like I was really enjoying it. So,
did you like what was your favorite mechanic? What did you like the most about the game?
Like I said, I'm a fairly simple person, so because there are so many, to me, there were a lot of things going on. I kind of focused on 1 or 2 things. So I was mostly just moving my Viscount meeple around the board and using him in certain spots and kind of picking up cards along the way. I didn't go for putting stuff in the castle as much.
I think you might have had like 1 or 2 in the castle.
Yeah.
Last time we played, I think you did a lot more buildings than I did.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I think I did, yeah.
But yeah, so it's fun. You got the deck building component as well, and worker placement, putting your workers in the castle. You got hand management and some set collection. If you get a certain number of manuscripts, you get some of these bonus cards, and I don't know. It was just a really, really good game. I highly recommend this game. If you haven't played it or haven't checked it out, you definitely should, because this is a great game with a lot of different mechanics all tied together really nicely. Any last thoughts?
Oh, that's it. Viscounts. I had fun with it.
Yep, so it's highly recommended. And as always, guys, if you want to help us out, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like this video. And until next time, adios.